maybe Dad has always dreamed of being a bit of a daredevil and doing something that, well, is beyond the usual tie or socks that you give him, like maybe taking the reins of an airplane. Joining us right now on the morning show is Carrie Green with Avia Air. Hey, how are you?
Good to see you, Bruce. Thank you for having us.
So, if Dad wants to learn to fly, you can help him out. This is a pretty cool idea.
We can certainly give him a taste of what it's like. Yes, we're setting aside this Saturday, June 20th, for dads of all ages to come out and give flying a try with a qualified flight instructor right by their side. They'll be right at the controls in the pilot seat, and the instructor will be there to help to guide them, learn a little bit about the fundamentals of flying. Of course, the instructor will help with the takeoff and the landing, traditionally the hardest parts of it. But beyond that, Dad will do the majority of the flying. It's a 15-minute flight over downtown Palatka and around along the St. Johns River.
Now, the reality is that with video games today, which are almost as realistic as some of the simulators that are available, some of the dads might have some skills, but if they're not really into the simulators and have never taken the yoke before, is that a problem?
Not at all. It's as close as the home-based simulators are today to the real thing. There's nothing like the fidelity of getting behind the actual controls and the experience of being able to look out the window from a couple thousand feet while you're flying. Completely different experience.
Well, look at this. This is from the cockpit here. Of course, you got the instructor in the right, and you're up in the air there. What's the reaction you get from people when they first get up there and they realize, hey, I'm flying this thing?
It's fantastic. It's of all the flying and instructing I do, I think the introductory flight lessons and getting people up for the first time is just the most enjoyable. They are all smiles. They love it. A lot of them really can't believe how easy it is to fly an airplane.
What do you think the biggest challenge is?
I think that if I could stereotype the first guys and gals out there, it's going to be over controlling the airplane. There's a tendency, some of this comes from the home-based simulators as well. There's a tendency to get on the controls and to manhandle the airplane when all it needs is just some gentle guidance around the sky.
Yeah, I mean, you really can control things with just a little touch.
That's it. It's fingertip pressure. Yeah, not that death grip on the yoke. And so those are some of the things that we do. And by the end of the flight, they become acclimated very quickly.
Yeah. Do they get the bug?
A lot of them do. I got bit very early on. I grew up in an aviation family. I think that flying just has a natural allure to it. It really does.
And what kind of plane would they be flying in?
We operate for this event for Saturday. We're going to be flying a Piper Cherokee 4-place airplane, so dads can bring along, weight and balance permitting, a couple of friends as well who can ride along in the back and get some videos.
You don't think that would make them more nervous?
That's up to Dad.
Well, the kids can bring the GoPro, is what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, we can tape it to the ceiling.
How about for you as an instructor? I remember when I was learning to drive, and the guy that taught me to drive, I think he has a few more gray hairs.
Yeah, I have a lot of gray hairs because of teaching people how to fly airplanes. It is a challenge, but it's just such a rewarding career to take somebody who's never been able to handle a machine like this, and by the end of it be able to do it on their own. It's just extremely rewarding. So
I asked you about people getting the bug. You take this introductory flight, and you do really want to learn to fly and go ahead and get your pilot's license. How long a process is it?
It really depends on how often you do it. Ground school, there's 2 tracks real quick. There's a ground and a flight track. The ground school is about 23 lessons that students can take over whatever course of time they desire. And there's about 40 flight lessons that, again, you can do part-time. I mean, I can get it done in a month if you just lived and breathed aviation for a month, or more, if you've got a life outside of aviation, more practically, it's about 8 months to a year.
Now, that requires a bit of an investment, but this Father's Day flight, it's actually very affordable.
It is. It's only $75, and that's what we want to do, is create an opportunity for dads just to get up and tread and say, hey, I've flown an airplane, and it's like you said, it's something that is going to be unforgettable.
And really, it is a little more interesting than a tie or socks, although dads appreciate ties and socks.
Yep.
Carrie, good to have you back here.
My pleasure.
So if you'd like to give your dad the gift of flight, just go to aviaero.com, or you can give Carrie a call at 904-505-5185, and they stage just down the road at Palatka Airport.